Hello everyone, my name's Abby. I don't normally make YouTube videos, but I thought I would sit down to talk about something important as a one-off. Sorry if you hear any background noise. I do live with my mum and my sister, and we do have pets as well. So there is going to be background noise, and this video will be low quality because I don't have any equipment to be able to make it good. So yeah, today I'm going to be talking about OCD. A little bit about myself, but more just some general advice that I can give. I would like to point out that I am not in any way, shape or form qualified to give medical advice or mental health advice or anything like that. So take everything I say with a pinch of salt. Always consult your GP for any mental health concerns or any advice on medication or therapy or anything like that. Do not use my advice as a definite thing. I do not actually have diagnosed OCD. It is very difficult to get a diagnosis with mental health. I spoke to my GP and they referred me to a mental health team who then did an assessment with me, and then I have started CBT therapy, which I'm only one session into, so I can't give too much insight into whether it's working or whether I would recommend it or anything like that yet. I will touch my hair a lot as well. I will not look at the camera and I will fidget just because this is unnatural for me. But yeah, the therapy that I'm getting is for high intensity OCD, and I'm very fortunate that I actually managed to get booked in fairly quickly. That is because it's labelled as high intensity. So, you know, it's always worth speaking to your GP and going through that assessment with the NHS if you feel that you would benefit from therapy. Whether the waiting list is a year's time, whether it's a month's time, a week's time, you know, it's worth it if you think that that would benefit you. And ultimately, if you've got a long wait, well, it was either that or you weren't going to do it anyway, so what difference does it make waiting that time? So I have had OCD traits and routines since I was about 12. I won't go into much of what they are or the reason that I believe I developed it. This is more just a general video about it and to provide a bit of information. If you don't like to hear people talking, if you've got a short attention span, if this isn't your cup of tea, absolutely fine. I wouldn't bother watching. This is mostly just for people who might want to just be assured that they are actually normal and that it's all okay. So the bit that I will say about myself is that my sort of form of OCD comes from being afraid that people are going to die. When I say people, I include my pets in that as well. So anytime I say everyone or someone, I mean my pets too, by the way. So yeah, that's my biggest fear, and it keeps me awake at night. You know, sometimes it makes me not be able to eat properly. Definitely doesn't help with my sleep. Makes me have panic attacks, which I have gotten better at, but that's sort of the general idea of it. So the first section that I would like to talk about is just to assure you that it's normal and that everything is okay. Intrusive thoughts is one of the most difficult things, I would say. I believe that that's what they're called, intrusive. There are two types, but I think that one's right. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Intrusive thoughts are thoughts that you don't want, that your brain just gives you. Kind of ruins your day as well, because they're normally not very nice things. The most common one is that you're a murderer, or that you're a paedophile, or that you're a really, really horrible person, and your brain tells you you want to hurt that person. What you have to remember is that a thought is just a thought. You know, if you don't act on it, then it is that. It is just a thought. And also, these aren't conscious thoughts. You know, you're not trying to think these things. You're not trying to convince yourself that you're this awful person. It is just the way that your mind works, and it's horrible and it really sucks, but it is just one of those things. And it is very common for people with OCD, very, very common. Sorry, just wait. It is very, very common, so please do not be alarmed too much by that. It is horrible, but you just have to acknowledge it. And if you feel so much anger and you feel repulsed by those thoughts, makes you feel sick, it really, really gets you down, that is your sign that you are normal, whatever you want to describe normal as, that you are a good person, and that actually doesn't apply to you. Because, you know, if you weren't, then you would actually be acting on those thoughts. You would be, you know, thinking of ways to hurt people just consciously. You would be going out of your way to try and find ways that you can hurt people, and you're not doing that. So be assured it is okay. Another thing I would like to talk about is feeling like you're a burden to the people around you. My boyfriend lives 4 hours away from me. We're in a long distance relationship. He goes to university as well. So I struggled for a very long time with the idea that he would be going out drinking with his friends, he'd be walking back to his house alone at night, and that he would be up late while I'm asleep because I work full time. I get up early in the morning. I really struggled with that, and the fact that I wouldn't know if something happened to him, and it has been difficult. It still is difficult, but it's getting easier. The thing that I tell myself is, he knows who I am. He knows the things that set me off, the things that upset me, the things that reassure me, the things that comfort me. He knows all of that about me, and ultimately he knew this about me before we got into a relationship. So do not feel like it is a bad thing that you care about people. That is the most important thing that I want to stress, is that you should never ever feel ashamed for simply caring so deeply about people's welfare and just wanting to make sure that they're okay. You're not a burden. They're actually lucky to have someone like you in their life that cares about them to that extent that you are having panic attacks and that you're worrying. You know, there's a lot worse things that people could be than compassionate. So do not stress about that. Also, feeling like you're crazy. That is one that a lot of people feel. I personally have to do things in sets of 2, and they have to be even numbers, like things like saying goodnight to my dog, or I have to like tap my dog's nose, like things like that. I have to straighten things, all of that kind of stuff. And to someone that has never experienced OCD and that doesn't know anything about it, they may say that you're crazy. They may say, oh, that's so illogical, why are you doing that? It has no impact on what's going to happen to other people. And yeah, that's completely true, 100%. And no matter whether I tell you that or someone else tells you that, we're not going to change the way that you think. It's not something that you can just get advice from someone else. It's like if you're a very anxious person, anxiety and OCD do come hand in hand. But if you're a very anxious person, you have anxiety or you have depression, and someone just tells you, oh, just stop worrying, you know, stop worrying about that, nothing's going to happen, stop worrying, you'll be fine. Or just get out of bed. You know, you don't need to be sad about that. It's something so small. You don't need to be sad about that. It doesn't need to ruin your day. If you have a mental health condition, it does ruin your day. It does feel bigger than it is. It feels like the end of the world and you can't control it. So no matter what they're saying to you, ignore it, because it's valid for you to feel that way, and you're trying your best. You know, you're trying to overcome these things, and just being able to go through day-to-day life, whether you're doing those routines or trying desperately hard not to, you're surviving, you're getting through it, and that is genuinely just the best that you can do. So don't listen to other people. Also, even though you know it's illogical, a lot of the time it's that in the back of your head, well, if I don't do this specific thing and something bad does happen, then that's my fault. It's not your fault. Of course it's not your fault, and nothing bad will happen. On the off chance that it did, it has absolutely nothing to do with you straightening that picture or you tapping your mug 6 times, or you only wearing a specific colour. It has nothing to do with that. And even though you might know that, I know that it doesn't stop those thoughts. So that's just more a bit of information for someone who might not understand the kind of thought process behind these routines that people with OCD have. So the next section is about ways to, I won't say overcome, because you can't really overcome OCD, but ways to manage it. Therapy is obviously one of them. As I said, I'm experiencing that at the moment, and I can't say too much whether it's working or not because I've only had one session. But therapy is very commonly used. CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy. I won't go into detail or really explain what that is. I would just advise reading up about it or speaking to the GP, things like that, because I can't really explain it. I'm not very good at doing that. So yeah, that's the most common treatment, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, there's that. That's always good. Medication, also good. I believe with OCD, they mostly use the same medication that you would if you had an anxiety disorder, because as I said, they go hand in hand. Obviously, that doesn't stop you from carrying out these routines, but it does ease your anxiety around doing it. So it might just make you feel a little bit calmer, might make you think a little bit more rationally, might help you to not panic if something doesn't go your way and you can't control it. So that's what the medication's for. Again, consult your GP if you are thinking of medication. I personally don't take medication. I know lots of people who do, who take anxiety medication. I know some people who take that for OCD as well. Some say it helps them, some say it doesn't. You know, everyone knows medication works differently for different people. But that's definitely an option to help manage OCD. What I have done, this isn't really advice because it was by accident, but a few ways that I have managed to overcome certain parts of my routine. One time I was drunk and I have to do a specific routine before bed, and I was so drunk that I actually just fell asleep while I was trying to do that routine. I am 20 years old, by the way, so this is legal. But yeah, I fell asleep and I woke up in the morning and remembered that I hadn't done that routine, and I was panicked. The whole day I was on edge. I was really, really stressed out, really worried, constantly just concerned about everyone's welfare. And then it got to the evening and I just remember thinking, that was weird. Nothing bad happened, even though my brain has convinced me that it absolutely 100% would. And then I kind of thought to myself, well, you know, if I didn't have to do it last night and everything was okay, then I don't have to do it tonight, and I don't have to do it the next night, and I never have to do it again. So I don't recommend getting absolutely smashed and falling asleep or passing out or whatever you want to call it. I do not recommend that. That is just me putting out a little bit of information about how I've overcome a few things. That was a one-off though. That hasn't happened more than once. The most important thing that I would say is stop yourself if you feel that something new is coming into your routine. If I find that I am starting to like tap things or do things a certain number of times or straighten things, I have to just stop myself immediately. You really need to be aware of the things that you're doing. Even if it feels like second nature, you have to be aware if something new is developing, because the sooner you stop it, the easier it's going to be, and it's not going to become an issue for you. It's not going to become a part of your routine that will be difficult to break later. Speaking of breaking, what is she doing? I think she's just broken a bowl. So if you notice that you're doing something new, just try to stop it in its tracks immediately. Just think to yourself, you know, I've absolutely never had to do this before. I didn't have to do it yesterday. I didn't have to do it last week. I didn't have to do it last year. Why why am I doing it now? Why is it important now? It doesn't have an effect on anything, so I'm not going to do it. And that's that. Yes. So that is the end of this video. I really hope that this helped someone, and if it didn't, I hope it gave someone some more information. Ultimately, what I'd like you to take away from this is you're not crazy, you're not a bad person, you just have a mental health condition, which, newsflash, so does everyone. So does everyone. It's 2025. We know that people have mental health issues. We know how common it is. You're not a burden on anyone. And as I said before, I would like to remind you that there are worse things that you could be than being anxious that everyone around you is okay and that everyone that you love is having a good day and that they're not being hurt and feeling responsible for them. You're not responsible for them, you're responsible for yourself, and you can't control the things that they do. You know, that's just the bottom line of it. However, it's not that easy, obviously. Yeah, so I hope this helped. If not, then you've heard me go on and on for, I'm guessing, what's going to be 15 minutes after I edit a bunch of crap out. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I probably won't do something like this again. It's kind of just a one-off. However, if you do want me to do something like this again, let me know and I will try my hardest. So yeah, I'm sorry if you picked up any conversations from my younger sister and her friends in the background, because God only knows what that could be. They're playing Roblox. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Take care. Night night. I'm gonna go watch Confessions of a Shopaholic.